everyone, this is Dawn. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to show you how to make a Northern Lights card using Oxide inks and stamps from Close to My Heart. This set, it's an older one called Spruced Up Scrapbooking, and then also I'm going to use Comfort and Joy, the sentiment from Comfort and Joy. So let's get started. I have a piece of white daisy cardstock and I'm cutting it a little larger than I'm going to need because I'm going to trim it down after I'm finished inking. And then I'm just going to secure it to my glass mat using purple tape. And I'm using a variety of Distress Oxide inks. And I'm going to create my little panel that looks like Northern Lights or Aurora Borealis. I'm going to start out with cracked pistachio and just place some on my card panel. I googled some real photographs of Northern Lights to kind of get an idea of what I was looking for. So I'm going to put down some peacock feathers in between so that I can get that nice green glowy look at the base of my card, and then it's going to go up to some purples and then raspberry. And some sections I'm going in a circle, and then others I'm kind of swiping upwards to get that upward. Some photographs you see the vertical lines going from the ground up to the sky, so I'm kind of trying to capture that sort of look too. So I'm going in circles for a bit, and then ultimately at the end I'm swiping upwards. And then I'm going to take in some chipped sapphire to create the dark sky around all of this glow. And kind of trying to recreate, the look of clouds and lights in the sky. And I'm just going back and forth with all of my colors and kind of blending them together. I left some areas white just so that I could keep that glow, and I'm going to blend them like when I'm almost finished, to keep that light under all my color. So I'm just going back and forth until I'm happy with what I'm looking at. And there's that upward swiping motion to capture those vertical lines that you see. Just keep going back and forth and blending, blend, blend, blend. Go back in with that cracked pistachio and peacock feathers. Some areas I'm going in heavier with ink, and then other areas I'm going in really light. So you can control the intensity of the color that you're laying down too. And you just keep going back and forth until you're happy with your results there. I'll go back with the chipped sapphire at the very end. Okay. I think I'm happy with that. Oh, nope, I want a little bit more. A little bit more of that peacock feathers. And some more chipped sapphire. I'm keeping the whole process in just so you can see how I took it from a piece of white daisy cardstock to where I'm at. So you can see all of the steps. I think sometimes that helps to see the whole process. Okay, and then the last step is to take some black soot distress inks. This is not the Oxide ink, and so it's not opaque like Oxide inks are. It's got some transparency to it, so when you lay it over the chipped sapphire, the blue still shows through. And then I'm going to bring in a piece of paper towel and soak up the excess moisture there, and then I'm going to go back over with my chipped sapphire and get them to blend together so it deepens that chipped sapphire color and gives a real night sky look to it. So I'm just getting that all to blend together, the finishing touches. And adding that black soot at the very end, it really makes a difference. Okay, I think that's good. All right, so we're ready for the next step. I'm going to get my surface all cleaned up, and then I'm going to trim down my panel so that it will fit my card front. So I'm going to mat this. So I'm trimming it down first and deciding how much to take off of each side. And sometimes when you're not sure, when you start with a little bit and then work your way around, rather than chopping off a whole bunch and being sad about it. So I trimmed a little bit, and then I'm going to trim a little bit more. And one more time. Okay. I think I like that. Okay, now I'm coming in with some of this pearlized watercolor paint. It's from Bray Reese, and I'm just using the lightest pearl color, and I'm adding water to my pan and getting it really, really soupy and thin so that I can splatter bits of this watercolor paint in my night sky to create some little stars. So I'm just tapping my watercolor brush around and getting some splatters. Okay, now we are ready to start stamping. So this stamp set that I'm using, it's still available, and it's spruced up scrapbooking, and I'm just using the trees, and you could also use the tree from the new Comfort and Joy card making workshop. I just happened to find this one, and it has some smaller trees, so I can create a look of seeing trees close up and then you see them get smaller off in the distance. And so I'm just stamping these in black ink in the foreground, and I'm going to take some of the smaller ones and put them down to just create a scene of overlooking the trees and seeing the aurora behind it, the trees, the tree line there. So just stamping a variety of different shapes and overlapping them, getting some perspective and depth. Okay, so now I'm going to bring in my Comfort and Joy card making stamp, and I'm using the Noel stamp, and I'm going to heat emboss this in white on my card. So I've got my anti-static pouch and some white detail embossing powder, and I'm going to tap some anti-static powder on my card front, and then I'm going to stamp Noel in Versamark ink, and it's a sticky ink that will hold on to that embossing powder. I'll get that stamped down. And then I'm going to sprinkle some white detail powder on my card front and then tap it off. And really look closely when you tap this off, because you are using a lot of ink on this panel, and so sometimes even though you're using your anti-static pouch, it tends to stick. So you can swipe off any stray bits with a paintbrush, a dry paintbrush, and then you're ready to heat that panel and let that embossing powder melt. Okay, so now I have a piece of white glitter paper, and I'm deciding if I want to mat it, if I want to double mat it, or if I just want the single mat, and I decided the single mat worked. And so I'm cutting that down to an A2 size card front, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I'm going to keep the rest of this card design simple so that my art panel can really shine. So I'm going to tack this down on my card front with Tombow tape runner. And then I'm going to use some double-sided tape. This is score tape, and it's super sticky, so it'll stick to that glitter paper. A super sticky tape runner or this double-sided tape works really well with the glitter paper to get everything to stick to it. Then I'm just going to center that on my card front. And that's my finished card. So I'll make a list of all the supplies that I used with links in the description below, and you can shop my online store. The URL is in the upper right corner, and I'll put a link in the description also. I appreciate you watching my video today. If you haven't subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button, and thanks for watching.